I worship you. Hey, Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are.
Connecting the community through gospel.
The new 107.9 FM, W300EB.
Macon and WDDO 980 AM.
Perry.
Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Mother Georgia, she's back on live. The historic 980 WDDO. All of a sudden, let's go live into the studio with our host, Brenda Sutton.
And hello.
Hello.
Oh, here you go. Hello.
Today is what? Monday, October 3rd.
Man.
Rent is due, so y'all get that rent in.
Oh, Janet, I was trying to have a
So
rent
it
party.
begins already.
I was trying to have a rent party. You remember the rent party?
Yeah, fish fry.
But you make money selling plays.
I mean, hey, you got to get the rent paid.
But that's what they used to call entertainment. That's what it was.
Emily, you don't know anything about those, do you?
I heard about them when I moved here, when I moved to Georgia. I had never heard of a rent party until I moved to the South.
The entertainment.
The other name for it was
the
entertainment. So people wouldn't know that was an actual rent party. It was just an entertainment.
Yeah.
Back in the day when people were selling Pat's Blue Ribbon beer.
My mama had entertainment, and she had for teenagers. She would take and make the lemonade in a big old trash can. You remember that? They would buy a clean, seriously. They buy
a brand new
big old trash can, the silver one, and they made lemonade and stuff in it. My mama had it so bad that she had my daddy to pour concrete on the side of the house so that they could have the party. So they wouldn't be kicking up all the dust. That's real talk.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
And that, I guess it would have been back in the.
So what?
60s.
She sold the lemonade for a quarter or something?
They had a party. And they would have hot dogs and lemonade and shoot. We used to have a good time on the side of the house.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, how did you make money? You
selling sandwiches, fish sandwiches,
hot dogs,
lemonade, stuff like that.
Okay.
And it was just a way of helping people in the community. But for us, Mama just did it just to do it.
Well, I mean, see, they were the privileged, so they were just emulating rent party. Let's see how they feel. We see them over there, but they just didn't exchange money for their hot dogs and things.
That's how come she don't know how much.
Yeah, but the people on the other side of the track, they would have to have some coins in order to get a hot dog or a hamburger.
Right.
Janet, I don't know why you saying that. Ain't you a PK? Cause all your daddy had to do was take offering. I'm just saying.
It has begun.
And they had something called a parsonage. The parsonage, didn't it? And that y'all had to pay no rent because the people in the church paid it.
Let me tell you,
a free will offering.
One time, it's the maddest. I think the maddest I ever got with my father one day. I asked him for a quarter. I was a young boy, and he said, I told you I ain't got no money, right? And right after that, this man walks up, this strange guy, and says, sir, I'm hungry, I'm trying to get something to eat. And my dad would reach in to give the man all this money to get something to eat. And I'm looking at him like, ain't you supposed to be a preacher?
You just lied to me.
Yeah, what I'm saying. I was so mad. I said, I'm going to tell Jesus. I did not understand why he would tell me he was broke. And then this hungry man come up and he give him this money.
Because he wasn't giving you no money.
Yeah, but as I grew older.
I don't see why Emily said anything, because didn't she grow up as a PK? Was she a PK too?
Oh, and they had their oil money. Their oil money.
Oh,
actually, I'm a preacher's grandchild.
Yeah, but they grew up with the preachers.
I did.
So don't be trying to pretend like you don't know. I'm the one that grew up with a barber. My daddy cut hair for a living.
And let me ask you this, Emily. So you were a granddaughter around the grandfather preacher. How many other granddaughters were there?
Oh gosh, there's like 30 of us. So it was a lot.
All of them around at the same time?
No, but you were in the house with him though.
Right, for a small amount of
She was
time.
in the
No,
house.
that's what I'm asking.
Right. She was in the
Oh,
house.
well,
She was
She
my
this
sister,
is called.
me and my sister.
Oh,
then.
so
Right.
the sister got all the spoiling.
yeah.
Yeah, because the boys they had to do
Yeah.
chores to get anything.
Well, my grandfather was he was very, 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 very kind to us, but he was that grandfather. You know how some people have granddaddies that
Yeah.
just cool, but my grandfather was that man. He was the one that like my mother had all four of us. He would come over to the house. He would pick all four of us up. He would get all of our dirty laundry, bring it back to his house,
wow.
and he'd wash all of the laundry. He'd cook. My grandmother would have something cooking. He was a janitor as well, so that's what he did part time. And so he had this thing about being extremely clean.
Mhm.
So his sheets were literally pressed, and he would have the sheets laid out for us, and we'd climb up in the bed with them freshly washed sheets. And I mean, he was that man. He was what old school preachers used to be.
Yeah.
He was, not like, and my grandfather worked, let's see, he pastored for, I want to say almost 50 years before he took a salary from the church. So he worked full time. And that was, not like pastors now actually get a salary from the church. My grandfather
No,
never.
that's their job, like their
Right.
income.
We're going to
Yeah.
have to
Because
talk
my
about
dad worked at
Yeah.
Armstrong for 33 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My grandfather worked
and had
two
a
jobs.
lawn service.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
and
So-
wasn't looking for, I have seen someone.
I didn't know that pastors actually drew a salary from the church.
Oh yeah.
Until probably honestly about 10 or 11 years ago. And I was like, what do you mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because I grew up, the era that I grew up in,
Mhm.
pastors didn't take a salary. They
Right.
didn't get paid. You just, you had a job,
Well-
but then you pastored, but you had a full-time job.
Yeah.
So
There was an app on my Facebook, and it said, figure out how much money you should make as a pastor. And so it had different categories. It's no joke. I was like, okay, let me just see what this thing's all about. So if you have 100, up to 100, it was this, and then it went on and on. So I thought, well,
Mhm.
let me just see what like 100 members or whatever should pay, and they were like 45 to like 66,000 a year. I'm like, okay, so how are these people supposed to pay that kind of money when they're supposed to be taking care of the community? So I do believe that old school pastor, I'm like you, because my granddaddy was one. He's an old school pastor, my great granddaddy, and he farmed during the week.
Was he a colonizer or was he?
No, that wasn't a colonizer one. Y'all saw during the
But no,
morning.
people actually refer to being a pastor as a career. Like, you know what I mean? When I first started hearing that terminology being used,
Yeah, and that's here
I'm like,
recently, in the
I'm
last
like,
several years.
yeah, he has a career pastoring. How do you have a career?
And when when my grandfather stopped preaching, the church decided, okay, we're going to give you I guess you could call it a salary, a social security, whatever. They gave him like a stipend every month. But at that point, I mean, that was extra money for him because he had retired. He was a librarian for many years. He was at a bookstore. And so he got the retirement from that. And he was a janitor. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was a janitor with the school system. And he retired from that. So he had retired both retirements and Social Security. And so when he finally stopped pastoring, he was 92 when he stopped. And then they continued to they gave him like a stipend. And it's nothing like what these pastors get now.
Oh, they get a
They
big
were just giving him an honorarium. They were just
just a way to say thank you.
Yeah.
If you want to comment on what we're talking about, the number is 478-250-1444. Again, that number is 478-250-1444. We're supposed to have a special guest to come on, Ronald Saylor from the National Action Network.
And we got to thank Henry E. Williams.
Big hand. Hey,
Big hand.
riding high on the Falcons winning streak.
Please. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
It's a winning streak.
It is. And he was upset because it was a sorry win.
And the Braves swept the Mets.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So
Georgia, baby.
And Cowboys. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But we live in Georgia.
Al Sharpton is coming to town, and so we wanted to hear a little bit from the National
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah, National Action Network. He's supposed to be here on Sunday to preach.
Where is he
Al
going to
can preach now.
Where is he preaching?
He's going to be at Beulah Land.
Okay.
Oh, at the land.
At the land. And so I wanted to make sure all our listeners heard about that. In fact, we should have a representative on from his network.
What time they going to come on?
They should be on here at 5:45. And but I just kind of wanted to give an overview of what we're going to be talking about, because they're going to be really stressing that we go out and vote. That was just the first half. And
I mean, how many times do y'all got to tell people to do that? Like, why continue to harp on it?
Because folk don't vote. I mean, it's the craziest thing that I've ever seen.
But if a person's not going to vote, do you think that constantly harping on them is going to make them go vote?
Well,
influence helps sometimes. I
think that sometimes people don't put a lot of emphasis on their social responsibility. And then when these laws are made, and that's where I am. I said, when the laws are made and then you don't have a voice there, you don't have an input. And then by the time you figure out you need one, it's too late.
And you'll be surprised as well that some people don't really get it when you say, if you don't vote, it's as if you're voting for the person that you oppose. Say they really don't. Some people don't get it. But then if you, like you say, pound it, sometimes people do get it. They go, oh, wait a minute. That does make sense. I better go vote. So however you can get somebody to go vote, get them to go vote.
And for instance, I guess I have my pet peeves. One is gun control. And I really want to see some stricter gun laws. And I would like to see people that are in office that understand some of these people don't need a gun. And I would like to see that strengthened. And I'm also, and I don't really why you call it pro-choice. I don't know why they say it like that, pro-life or whatever you want to call it. But I do support women having the voice to make a decision about their own bodies. I don't think a man need to do that.
I mean, yeah, that's still, I don't get it. I don't get where the government, Congress, the courts have decided to take it upon themselves to decide what happens to my body. It's just so bizarre and so strange. And I don't get why they don't get it, other than simply trying to continue to control females. I think that they feel we've gotten too powerful. Because hashtag women empowerment, hashtag women bosses, hashtag buy from a black woman, blah, blah, blah. Right? I'm all for all of that.
And what gets me about that is that all of this talk about making choices wasn't an issue when Massa was having babies with the women that was enslaved. You follow what I'm saying? It only became an issue when other races started having abortions and things. As long as you were selling children and just doing all kinds of things to quote unquote, however you want to call it. I won't say just black women, but I would say poor women too. Then it wasn't a conversation.
And the biggest misconception about abortions or having the right to choose is the stigma behind it, and what the media will make you think is it's poor black women, poor Caucasian women. But believe it or not, the majority of the people that actually have abortions are people that are well off, people that are wealthy, people that are too busy, that are career focused. I got too much going on, and they have the money. They go get one real quick and they move on with their lives. So that's a really, really, really big misconception, is that only poor, young poor black girls or females, period, young female poor people have abortions. And it's actually not true.
And then the group of that particular group that's making the most noise, and that just really just kind of just blows my mind. It's the same group that don't want to provide health care for the children once they get here. Don't want to provide any sort of like services as far as making sure they get fed all the time. That's not what they want to do.
Wait a minute. What group is it that doesn't want to feed them?
Republicans. Because they vote against, and traditionally they vote against programs that's going to help people take care of children, and from birth, all the way up to the time they're 18.
Are they making concessions for like somebody a young kid that got raped or molested or something? They're not.
No. Or
Wow.
if the mother is, I think in terms of if she is ill, but when you make a 10-year-old girl have, try to make her have a baby and she's a victim of incest, that's a problem.
Mhm.
Right.
I agree.
And so it's not, no, I don't believe in birth control. I mean, abortion being birth control. No, I don't. I don't believe in that. But I do believe that people have the right to choose.
Yeah.
And that it is racially motivated.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that because the reason why I say that is because it wasn't a big deal. Like I said, back in the day, it wasn't a big deal. So if you felt, and as far as life, how can you tell me life is so important when we see the way that our black males are being killed? And we haven't really, we've done some things about it, but there's just so much more we could do.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have an issue with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to have people that are in place that's going to look out for my best interest.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I'm an independent. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I vote how I want to vote.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to make sure that somebody has my back per se. And, I don't like that. And the other thing, how you going to, we're going to have Lynn come on. Y'all know our good friend, Lynn Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
Lynn's going to talk about the different ways that certain groups are keeping you from voting. So we want to make sure that people understand the importance of going out to vote and just know that. And, you always hear that, well, they died for us to vote. A lot of people don't even care about that.
Well, yeah, it's a different generation now. And, oh, Lord, we could talk about this for hours. But, I mean, we have free will. We have the freedom of choice, or the illusion of the freedom of choice.
There you go, Emily.
We don't actually have, our freedoms are so limited. It's more limited than what people actually realize. And I always tell people, they were like, we live in a democracy. I'm like, no, we don't. I have freedom of speech. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can't post whatever you want on social media. Guess what Facebook gonna do if you say the wrong thing? They're gonna shut your page down. Guess what? If you post that you don't like the president or you threaten the president, guess what they're going to do? FBI going to be dotting your doorstep. So I was like that we're under the illusion that we have freedoms, but we don't have freedoms, and we're not as free as we think we are. And now that they're taking our right to choose, a woman's right to choose, it reminds me of something I heard a long time ago, that by the time we look up and realize that we will have given all of our constitutional rights away.
Absolutely.
Because we're so into trying to control everybody. It's kind of like we're doing the work for the government. We just sit back and let them come up with these laws, and you have half the people that are, I'm for it. I think abortion should be illegal, da 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 da. And by the time you turn around, what if they made vasectomies illegal?
That's true.
What would men do if that actually was the case, or they made wearing protection illegal? Because that stops a woman from being able to get become impregnated. I mean, this is like, it's bigger than what people are realizing. And I always say, this is just one little pebble.
It is.
And it's going to be more and more and more to come. By the time we look up, we ain't going to have no rights to do nothing.
I agree with you. And that number to call in is 478-250-1444. Mm-hmm. Again, that number is 478-250-1444. And you are absolutely correct, Emily, and that's the trick to me, that all of a sudden you just realize, poof, I've lost my right to do this. And then too, you listen to all these commercials. And I know that we are inundated with commercials. Okay.
That's why I don't have cable.
I mean, but let me just say,
you don't have to have cable anymore. You can just have an antenna.
I don't even have that.
You can have a clothes hanger with
you got a cell phone.
Oh, yeah. I do. That's why I try to stay off of it. I go on there and post, when I need to.
Because whatever we're talking about today, it's going to be some ads pop up later on this evening about whatever it was we were talking about.
Yep. But the
not a coincidence.
Our phones are listening.
Absolutely.
And not only that, not only do your phones listen, okay, so is Alexa. I can be in the kitchen in there cooking, which I do cook, by the way. But I could be in the kitchen like stirring up something, and then all of a
Stirring
sudden,
up some
Stirring
mess.
up the absolutely.
absolutely, I do that now. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my goodness, I hear Alexa start talking to me, and I'm like, I ain't said nothing to you.
And that's because all of y'all are obsessed with this technology. I don't have nothing like that in my house. I don't want no smart house. I don't want no smart refrigerator. I don't want nothing. I just want a refrigerator that keeps my food cold. I want a stove that come on and off when my hands turn it on and off. I don't want to say, Alexa, turn the stove on. Alexa, what's in my refrigerator? Alexa, play BB and CC wine. No, I'll do it myself. Thank you.
Well, I do have a lot of the toys and stuff in the house, but I agree.
And
with
Henry
you.
ain't studying none of that. Henry likes his phone, and Henry be on their porch.
That's
and
why
he
Henry
wants you to
be on
leave
the
him
porch,
alone.
so people won't be listening into his total life.
There you go.
I ain't did nothing to Henry.
No, you just told us you got every little technology accompaniment anybody could have all over the house. This, you whisper and something hears you. They know everything about you, Brenda.
Mm-hmm. And the truth of the matter is what another thing that people aren't aware of is when you download these different apps like Alexa and all of this kind of stuff, that you give them permission to access your camera, which means they can turn your camera on at any point and watch everything that's going on in your house, watch what you're doing. Yeah. They're already listening. We know they're listening, but they now have the ability, because you give them that permission, to access your camera, your contacts, and all of that stuff. And Alexa is a system. So if once you get Alexa, it goes through your whole house. So basically, Alexa can cut that camera on in any room.
In other words, Brenda is public domain.
Exactly.
Well,
they want to see what Henry and Brenda doing.
Well, they ain't seeing much then.
Well, they seeing Henry
on the porch.
Right, exactly. Henry is on that porch.
Sit down, right? Y'all do funny. But that is true. And that's another reason why you need to vote.
Because we have a phone caller.
Caller?
Yes.
Hello?
How you all doing today?
We're good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I wanted to comment on about this Facebook and all that, all this smart stuff. I thought that we older peoples was the oldest one, but I know you're a younger lady because I've seen you down there playing in the band.
Yes, ma'am.
To hear you say that, I'm like, my children need to hear that, because they always ask me about, you need to get this and you need to get that. And I tell them I don't want nothing smarter than I am.
That's right.
I'm just in the old school, and I think that's a lot of radiation to these things that we have.
Mm-hmm.
I want to comment on the voting. We do need to vote, but I could tell you another thing. I talked to a lot of people about voting, and some of them think the way that I think sometimes, but I still vote. You'll vote these people in, then some of them, not all of them, have certain people that they do for, that you can get things done. Some of us can't get things done, and that's a lot. So we need to tell those that get in there, work for everybody, and I believe you'll get more people to vote.
Thank you so much. And she is absolutely correct.
Ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for calling. Thank you for listening. She is absolutely correct.
All right, you too.
She is absolutely correct. You only see the politicians when it's time to vote.
Yeah, that is true.
They come to the church. Hallelujah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
And
it's our system is really jacked up.
But a lot of it, though, let me just say this. A lot of us good people won't run for office.
Okay. You got to be in the clique.
And then too, even if you're in office, and then too, as the caller said, if you ain't in that right clique, then they don't even listen to you. If you call them on the telephone, they don't return your phone call. You know all about it because you were trying to work with one of your politicians, one of your commissioners, and you couldn't even get him to help you give away free coats.
Oh, absolutely. Now, here's another thing, that if you got a group of elected officials, let's say the majority of them have been working together for 8 years, right? Mm-hmm. And out of those 8 years, the murders in this city have increased or stayed at the same level. Why in the world are they the group of people that we turn to solve the problem when the problem grew or maintained under that same group of people. So why do we go to them for the solution? See, that's the part I don't understand.
I would have now see this is what I see it. And I've said it since I've been here in Macon, Georgia. Well, let me just say when I got grown, it was here in Macon, Georgia. Johnny, how can you and I and Emily come up with a solution and we have not talked to the people who are actually committing those types of crimes?
It's hard.
That's right. So I'm going to go down and say, look at here. Emily, I know what's best for you. That to me is condescending in the first place because I've not even included you in the conversation, let alone part of the solution.
You ain't walked in her shoes.
Right. They don't feel like they're being listened to, which is one of the reasons I can assume that they go out and do some of the things that they do because they don't feel heard. They don't feel seen. And then most importantly, they don't feel validated.
So why should I vote?
Exactly.
Well, and then too, I am disconnected from the community. Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Hey, Steve.
And so, I'm just simply saying, and I'd spoken to Sheriff Davis before. He said that, we could go down to the jail and we could do, I've got some other things I'd have to do to get us in there. But I'm just going to have to make that happen because we need, and not that I want them to incriminate themselves or whatever, but I want to know, for example, what can we do to help with conflict resolution? Because a lot of it is, and then too, a lot of it is conflict resolution. And then there's a misconception, especially when it's domestic.
Yeah.
So let's have an honest conversation with the people who can give us some sort of, well, at least some feedback. We may not like the feedback.
No, we've got to hear from the people who, quote unquote, are causing involved with the problems. You got to go to them.
I agree.
You cannot continually, like I told that group of folks at that quote unquote town hall meeting, I said the Bible did not say, yea, though I talk about the valley of the shadow of death, it says, yea, though I walked through the valley. There's a great difference in talking about the valley and walking through the valley. And these jokers don't walk. But then they'll tell you they're too old to be doing it. Well, then be too old to have these luncheons and all this taxpayer money spent on y'all getting together, having all these brain trust meetings about how you should go about it. Get those same dudes that are affiliated with the gangs, that are affiliated with the trouble, invite them, tell them, look, we're going to buy y'all some steaks and
first of all,
sandwiches.
they don't trust. First of all, they don't trust them.
Yeah, but they'll go eat.
But they don't trust them. But why can't you? You need to have
approach is what I'm talking about.
You need to have people that are going to have a conversation.
That's
like
what I'm
Emily,
saying.
Like people we can trust.
Yeah,
because they need to be able to trust folks. But that's why I'm saying that about the vote. We need to have people go into office and then too, not necessarily feel like they're less than. Some of us, they said, Brenda, you need to run for office. I said, no, I don't need to run for office because I'm too honest. And maybe I need to not say things like that because, I'm going to walk on truth.
No, you kind of teetering on the fence. You kind of heat.
But there is a shift.
I am.
There is a shift. And it has gotten to the point where it's going to take transparency.
I agree with you.
Because the other way, how many murders we got to make so far this year?
51, 52. And
it's the way that's being employed now.
But by the way,
not working.
But let me just say this:
that's the proof. It's not working. Let me just say one more time, people, it is not working.
And let me just say this one more time: instead of, we can talk about the murders that are happening, but we need to deal with the root. And I don't mean like throwing some bones and stuff out in the street. We need to deal with the fact that we have got a lot of people here who are not raising their children. Now, it's going to be double fold because you can't get DFACs to go in and take all these children. It's a lot of children. I don't want to be a foster parent. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to do it. But it's really systemic and it's huge. And part of that, again, is like, like you said, voting. The same people run for office. These people get paid a little stipend. Need to let you all know they get paid. You know, some of them are doing it out of goodness of their heart, but some of them doing it for health insurance.
But we are not requiring anything different from them. That's what I'm saying. We are not requiring them to do different. We are allowing them to.
We're not holding them accountable.
We're allowing them to dictate to us that y'all can come to the meeting on Tuesdays at City Hall or the City Council person's meeting. Y'all can come here. The citizens can come together and demand that it's done differently.
But but the citizens have to be active. And some of us don't feel like we have a voice. So, I got that. I just want to encourage everybody. Henry and I got to go and change our address. Check and see if you're registered. Yeah. Check and see.
We need to vote.
Understand that just like Emily and I were talking about the right to make the right to make a choice over our bodies. It doesn't mean anything till it means something. Mm-hmm. And, we'll be fine. We're going to find a way to do what it is we want to do. Mm-hmm. But for the people who may have a little struggle with it, it's going to be a problem. You need to get people in office that's going to at least listen to you.
Right.
At least. And, like I said,
this is only the beginning.
It is.
That's what I keep saying. Like, this is such a huge monumental thing, Roe versus Wade. And this is just the beginning. So if you just imagine if they can literally tell a woman whether she has the right to carry or not carry a child. We're the only humans on the planet that can bear children. It's the female species, whether it's an animal or a human being. Females are the only one that can give life. So do you realize how powerful that is for a group of men to sit together and say, you know what, we're going to take that right away from you. You can't decide whether you want to bring life to this planet or not. And that's just a small amount. Can you imagine what the next law will be?
The next law can very easily, people can tell you where to live.
Right.
Now, I beg to differ. They're getting ready to fuss at me now on Mr. Jackson. Women don't give life. They carry life within them because either way it goes, without a man, you're not going to be having any babies. So to say you give life sounds singular, and it's not a singular thing.
Well, my point was that we were the only ones that could bear life. I should have said that better. We're the only ones that could bear life because it's something that a man cannot do, physically cannot do.
No, we don't carry it. No, we don't carry.
Weird that,
but we are part of it.
You all have, carry the seed, but without a vessel to
carry
place the seed and carry it, there's
that's what
no
I'm saying.
life.
You
so
carry
that's how
life.
important. But my point is that's how important a female is to the human race.
Absolutely.
And
we are equally important. That's my whole point.
But let me just go back and say this because
men are not more important than women, and women are not more important than men.
They have made this law. What's going to happen when the legislature says, okay, if I say, okay, Johnny impregnated me, and then it's okay, well, then he needs to start paying child support, and the baby is not out the womb. Mm-hmm. See, that's what you're talking about. Baby ain't not here. You're talking about a fetus. You don't know. Mm-hmm. So should you be responsible for having to take care of a woman, and you don't know if the baby is yours?
And she ain't been on Maury's show yet.
That's right. So I'm just saying it opens up.
Them jokers be running, don't they? The cameraman, they need to give a image to the cameraman.
I'm 100% Maury. I ain't been with nobody but him.
Yeah. And
Jimmy, you are not the father.
And let me just say this.
In this house.
Yeah. And then it be Sherry is back again for the 12th test. For the 12th test. And they still cheer her. And boo dude number 12, they're saying, hey, man, you tested 11 times already. How you figure I'm supposed to be sure?
Right. She for the streets, man. She for the streets.
But they boo him.
And I think that
I don't get that.
I don't get it either. And what I don't get is, they're making, and I say they Republicans are making such a big fuss about it, but they didn't even think it through. What about the insurance companies? Say, for instance, if you're going to assert that this is a life in me and I have a rider on my life insurance policy and I have a miscarriage, as it stands now, my husband or whomever would have to pay for the burial of that child. But if you're going to call it, a child, then the insurance should pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not happening. That's why I say, people open up their mouth, but they don't really think about it. Because it's much bigger than just taking away my right.
It is a very subject.
Yeah.
Because what about the career-minded woman who gets pregnant and she says, this baby is coming at an inopportune time. I'm going to abort my kid. And the husband saying, no, you can't do that. And she says, but it's my body. But he says, but that's my child. So it gets a bit muddy for a whole lot of other reasons. Because now the debate becomes, does the man who is the father of this impregnated woman have the right to tell her, no, you cannot abort this child?
But I think
so that's another conversation that people don't like to have.
No, they don't want to have the conversation. So again, we're going back to the fact of why you should vote. You need to vote. Now, whether or not, they said, well, it doesn't really matter. People are going to do whatever they want to do anyway. Yeah, they're going to do whatever they want to do anyway if you don't vote.
We need to vote.
And so, that's kind of why I harp on it, because it's just real challenging.
It's too important.
And then, to the law, people keep thinking about it. They say, well, they got the law. The law is not necessarily right.
When was it? Earlier this year, they just signed in the Voting Rights Act?
That's just
wasn't it this year?
Yeah,
earlier this year.
Lynn is going to come on next week and talk about that mess. It is horrible. And
how we just don't pay attention.
And it slide right by you. You in line. You can't even get out.
Well, they keep you distracted with everything like the war in Russia, COVID, all of 50 million strands of COVID. And every time, there's a law being passed, there's always some massive drama going on.
Yeah, because now they can't use R. Kelly right now because they already got him locked up. Because they were, at one point, every time something major came up, it was Michael Jackson did something else.
Yeah, exactly.
He died. So then it moved to R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Now he locked up Bill Cosby.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Every time, if you go back and research and
it's
look at the period of time when they locked up and started bothering Bill, look at what else was going on.
Now, by the way, and then all of a sudden, if you want to be a conspiracy theorist, what happened last week? Ivan, the storm come. Woo, that took your mind off some stuff real quick.
The storm that came that never came. The storm that was supposed to hit us. Was it Friday and Saturday? We were supposed to have torrential rains, and it was literally sun and blue skies on Friday.
Now let me
and
ask y'all's opinion of this, because both of you are very loving and concerned about people. Your honest opinion. So what do you think about? And what do you think about when they have told them, get out? The storm is coming here. Get out. Please get out. Get out. Get out. Leave your stuff. Get out. Take what you're going to take. Get out. Why do we want you to get out? Because if you stay and you're in jeopardy, now you're going to be mad because the fire department, the ambulatory system, those people were told to get out too. So now you're going to be angry with them. So what do you think about those folks?
Well, let me just say this. I'm going to go ahead. I lived through the flood of 1995. Were you here?
Mm-hmm.
And I worked at Northrop Grumman. And they told us to, quote unquote, go home. I didn't go because I was like, man, flood in Macon, ain't gonna be no flood. That was my thought.
Mm-hmm.
But finally, something said you need to go. When I drove home going down 247, my car was level with the water. And all I could say was, Lord, just let me get home before one of these bridges washed out. And I think it was about 2 bridges that washed out on 247. So having lived through that, if they tell Brenda Williams to get out, that the storm is coming, my is gone. I'm not going to wait around. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to find me some inland. I'm going in it.
What do you think about it? I mean, the people that don't leave when you told them to leave, do you think they got a right to be mad with the rescue workers for not risking their lives to come back and get them?
Absolutely not. Now, there's always, I like to see things from both sides. There's always extenuating circumstances for the reason why some people don't leave. But I know people personally that had the means to leave and just didn't think, oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And literally got caught, literally had to be rescued. And I'm just sitting there thinking like, okay, but they told you it was coming a week ahead. Even if you drove an hour inland, stayed at a relative's house, called somebody, called friends and family, hey, we got to evacuate. Can you send me $20 for a hotel? Can you send me $50 for a hotel? Can you pay one night for me? You got enough family and friends to reach out. I mean, I always say this, and it may sound condescending and arrogant, but if you broke, all your friends ain't broke. Somebody around you can help you. And I mean, and that's real talk. Somebody, unless you've burnt every bridge, somebody around you can help you get out of out when it comes to that type of situation. I've seen it personally firsthand when people stay, family members that have actually stayed multiple times and got caught in the hurricane multiple times. So it's like, I still to this day, I don't get it, other than and I like to only speak from my experience, but arrogance. Oh, it ain't coming. It ain't gonna hit us. It ain't gonna. They always saying that, and then you sitting there looking, crazy. We on Christian radio, but yeah, crazy. You're sitting there looking crazy, and you want everybody to help. You're reaching out for help, and it's like, okay, but they told you to leave.
And so I don't know why they won't do it. It's and then get mad because the first responders can't get out.
That's that part. That part.
And I'm like, but that's,
And when Jimmy was at Savannah State, of course, that's right there by the ocean. And that's the one part I hated about him being at Savannah State. We constantly having to go down there and get him. It didn't take me. The first word I heard when that first inkling that storm was finna hit Savannah State.
Trying to go.
Jimmy, we'll be down there and give us about 2.5, 3 hours. You need to have your stuff packed. We finna come get you. Because they're evacuating the school anyway. I'm not going to wait. Because normally with the schools, they'll tell you like a week in advance so your parents can make arrangements to come get you. It was kids leaving on the last day where like the wind and the stuff was already flying.
CNN was already down there.
But people
this girl.
But let me just say,
as they said,
Jimmy was at your house watching CNN.
Listen, 3 hours.
And by the way, and I saw on TikTok where some little African American girls, and I said, "Where they mama? She needed a switch. She needed to be beat because the girls was out there playing in the storm." I'm like, who does that? Why would you let those girls go out there and play in that nasty water? Because there was some nasty water because that wind blew up water. It blows off the not just off the ocean, but any water that's been setting.
Yeah.
That's some nasty water. Why would you let your children play in it? I just couldn't understand.
And it's stuff floating in the water, and I know I was somebody sent me a clip. I'll see if I can find it. But down there in Florida, where there was actually alligators, and it was an alligator in somebody's house because the water was so high. Then I saw another one where there was a shark, like a massive shark, but a small shark. And I'm just thinking like, wow, again, you don't have the right to get mad because these people can't come and rescue you if you decide to stay.
I always think that's weird.
Yeah.
Well, it is weird. And then you got these people, the law gonna take care of me. And which is, go back, but I'm not lying.
He is.
I'm not lying. The law.
But he is. Might not be what you wanted.
Right.
But he is.
The law gonna protect me.
Yeah.
I can stay in the house.
Yeah.
He gonna send his angels down there.
And then you have the older people that are ornery and stubborn that just don't want to leave their home. And that part, I understand it, but you have to value your life. But some of the older ones is like, a couple of people I know down in Houston, 80-something years old, was like, look, I'm tired.
Yeah.
If it's my time to go, I'm not going nowhere. If this water comes sweep me up, it's just my time to go. And you be wanting to say, but Miss Betty,
why would you want to go like that?
Miss Betty, like, won't you just come on? Look, I'll come get you. I send somebody over there. Mm-mm.
Well,
and so you got something that just like,
just
hey.
I think I don't
and
know.
Be sitting around when the water rises. They done left me here. They
right,
done left
exactly.
me here. Oh no!
They know I ain't had no transportation.
Mm-hmm.
You see them up in the attic, and I'm like, that's the worst place to go is to the attic, because now you stuck in the attic.
Yeah.
And then too, if I understand correctly, unless I got my information wrong, there are about 10,000 people still missing in Florida.
Yeah, it's terrible.
10,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
see, I don't have. I'm telling you, I don't have TV.
It's sad. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Because it's like, but they told y'all to leave.
It's about 47, I think, that are confirmed people that are deceased, which we want to offer prayers up to the people in Florida because it's very challenging.
It is. It's a
very
terrible
challenging.
thing.
And then, but 10,000 is Fort Myers is just leveled. I don't know if that, Fort Myers is going to be a lot like, what is it, like New Orleans?
Katrina.
Katrina is bad. It's bad. I mean, like leveled. I was just like, oh my God, this is just really horrible. I can't imagine living through that.
Mm-hmm.
No electricity.
Because people won't take heed to people. Water is the most powerful force on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and they live on it. They live next to it like, oh, this is really beautiful. I'm scared to live on the ocean. I ain't got to worry about it.
No, that's right.
I might live next to the river. I might. I do live next to a little lake. It's little, but it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't live next to the ocean because it's just too scary.
Now, when is Al Sharpton going to be in Macon?
He's supposed to be in on Sunday. And I'm not
Sunday?
This Sunday coming up, and he is going to be at Beulah Land. Al Sharpton will be at Beulah Land this Sunday coming up, and I'm going to assume at their 11 o'clock service. Somebody need to probably call in and let me know what time their midday service is. But
they have 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock.
So I'm sure it's at 11. He was supposed to call in, but he could have got caught in traffic. But want to encourage people just to go out and listen to him. Al always does a good message now.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard him preach.
Oh, he's an excellent preacher. I have heard him preach, and I thoroughly enjoyed him. In fact, I've heard him a couple of times.
What did he be talking about?
Basically, his experience with
I'm talking about his relaxer in his hair.
You're so dirty. He real little though. He's just a little man.
Yeah, he's short. Yeah.
He just, Al is a preacher by nature.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that he was just, a pastor, but he is a pastor. And, I heard him speak, and I can't really talk about it on the air, the word that he used, but he's real honest in his dialogue. Mm-hmm. And I think that honesty have gotten him in trouble simply because of the way that he is very direct. God bless, Sarah Hunt. Y'all, my listeners, y'all remember Sarah Hunt. Sarah Hunt was the queen of finding votes. I believe that Sarah Hunt could go up on a rock, behind a tree, under some bushes. But if it was a vote out there to get, Sarah Hunt was going to get it.
Yeah.
She was just that powerful, and she was instrumental.
She's persistent.
She was persistent. And Sarah Hunt was just Sarah Hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, to know her is to know her.
What came up
came out.
Yeah. That part.
But let me just say, the political community here, the Get Out the Vote movement, missed Sarah Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Because, she would have been on here to talk about the different things that people are trying to do to keep you from voting. And she knew how to break it down so that people could understand it. That's one thing I like about you, Johnny, is that you know how to break it down.
I tried. Now, Davis Lucas was another guy.
David Lucas.
Javis,
okay.
The one from the water company.
Okay, you talking about Miriam Parrish?
Yeah, her father.
Uh-huh.
He was very adamant about getting people to vote.
Yeah.
He was another strong person in this community that advocated voting.
And but it's almost, Emily, and you would say why you have to almost, it's like, and I hate to say it, it's like
No, she doesn't.
well, yeah, that's true. But it's like you have to really literally go out and just pull them to the polls.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally what you have to do. Go and get them, take them to the polls, encourage them to vote, tell them why they got to vote, and just.
I think this new culture, I think they're tired. I think they feel like after Obama, everybody went out in droves and voted for Obama. I think that people just lost the will. They lost the energy. They lost the fight to go out and do it, especially after Trump. I think that people are, and I can only speak for like my age and below, and dealing with my son in his age range, he's just like, why?
Wait,
now he does go out and vote. I will say that, but he's just like, I mean,
well, we got to encourage him because we don't need another Trump. And that guy, I've never in my life seen the type of behavior that he has exhibited and it be accepted.
Who is this?
Donald Trump.
Oh yeah.
And he's a racist. People say, oh, you should. Yes, he's a racist. And and I've seen evidence of it. And if anybody wants to challenge me, I'd be glad to talk to you off air, about that. I'm not going to go into it. He did some really treacherous things, and every time it's like fight. And some people like the fight. I just say, sometimes you know when to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just really how I feel about it.
You know what I find very peculiar is all of the things that they are blatantly putting out on the commercials and during the campaign time about Herschel Walker, right?
Oh, please.
And he has not addressed any of it. So is that strategy going to get him into office?
Well,
because nobody is calling him to say, while he's there to address it. Like if he and I, we on this station now, if you were Herschel, I would look at you and go, Herschel, I've been seeing the commercials on television saying that you put a gun to your wife's head, that you were going to have a shootout with the police, and that you wanted to kill. Are these things true? Nobody will do that. Wonder why?
But because he won't go on stations where he's challenged. He only, and really, I think something's wrong with him. Really, I think he got hit real seriously, putting all jokes aside, too many times with the football in the head. But
you think he got a concussion and they didn't treat it?
I think it's what you have long-term COVID. I think he got long-term concussion.
But what was the movie that Will Smith made about concussions?
It's called. Isn't it called Concussion or
there's something about a football when they take it.
See something.
It was a good movie though, really good movie.
And they in the NFL, so I understand, took that movie right on out of circulation.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about Herschel,
it's sort of like PTSD.
It is, and you got and but there again,
he could suffer from.
But by the way, now this is a good example of why you need to go vote. Warnock and Herschel Walker. If you don't do anything else, you need to go there and make sure you vote. Because Herschel Walker, I have compassion for him, but he need to go somewhere and sit down. And some of the things.
Who was he going up against?
Warnock.
Raphael
I'm just saying
Warnock,
the things that this man is being accused of.
Oh, he did. He beat it.
He's accused of, and I guess that's his wife.
She's
on
holding.
The commercial.
Yeah.
That's saying I had come from church and he asked me about it. And I guess I didn't answer him the way he wanted me to answer him. And he put a pistol to my head and told me he would blow my brain. This commercial runs all the time with his ex-wife in the commercial sitting there describing line by line that she came home from church.
She did.
And I wonder how much they paid her to do that.
No, they didn't. She is afraid.
The point is,
she's afraid of him being up there in it. And then he denied his children. He said, I don't have, I think of just one child. Somebody come out and say, he
See,
got
I don't
about 4
understand
children.
that.
He got about 4 children. And he's talking about the dad is not taking care of the children and all of that. And then come to find out you don't take care of yours. And there again, he's not challenged.
I just don't get it. If that stuff is true, then why won't you just? There's got to be some sort of way. The people ought to demand him to address this, but none of his commercials denies it.
But
he doesn't make a commercial that says,
But
"I didn't
smart.
do any of those." That's what
he's
point.
He's smart. That's the tactic. It reminds me of Beyonce. Now, Beyonce stopped doing interviews about 10 years ago. Beyonce don't address nothing. Have you noticed Oprah? Oprah doesn't do any interviews.
A phone caller.
Yes, how y'all doing?
Good.
I just thought I had a comment on the Herschel Walker. And the voting. First, let me say this: did you know that the Bible says we're not supposed to vote, and the Bible speaks of this as the house of Israel, whom are the so-called blacks or so-called African Americans. We're not supposed to put somebody over us. Did y'all know that?
Ma'am, that may be true, but let me just tell you something, and I'm going to probably get in trouble. We only got 3 minutes, but please call it back. We can be so heavily bound, we're no earthly good. We live in a society where there is man's law and God's law. And so what you're talking about is God's law. But what we live in a world of man's law. And yes, we need to vote. And I want to encourage even though I respect your opinion and such, we're in an environment that we need to vote.
Let me ask you this. Is not God over us? So in other words, what you're saying is man has more power than the Creator.
No, what I'm telling you, let me ask you something, ma'am. Do you pay taxes? Do you pay taxes?
We have to do it.
Huh? Do you? Lisa Watson is a pastor, and she said she is in the comment section. But we only got about 3 minutes.
Let me. But that's a good question, ma'am. Are you still on the phone?
I always want to cut you off.
No, ma'am. Are you still on the phone?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, this I think so. You're saying that God is in charge of everything and God owns everything, right?
No, what I'm saying, I said.
No. Answer that question.
To me, say it again.
Doesn't everything here belong to God? Does the world, the earth, and all there within belong to God?
True.
Then why do you pay taxes?
I don't pay taxes because I know who I am. I know I'm not African American. I know.
No, so you don't go to the grocery store.
Africa. Hold up, you asked me a question. Let me answer you.
Okay.
I know who I am. I did not come. My ancestors did not come off a slave ship. We was already here in the Americas. We know who we are. Even like most of the majority, 99% people in Macon are the Choctaw and Cherokee Indians. If you know how to go and research and get it, you don't have to pay taxes. No, I don't.
Well, you need to call us and clue me in because they're trying to take my house right now.
But every time I call, y'all cut me off.
No, leave your phone number with the producer over there, the engineer.
That's right, so we can call and talk.
Yeah, we're gonna talk with you. We like what you're saying.
We need to talk because that's why our black men, young black boys now killing one another and all this stuff. They don't know who they are. They know.
You make sure you leave your number with Mr. Jackson.
You know what? And thank you so much for calling.
We appreciate you.
With the producer, leave your number with the producer because the show is ending.
Phone.
Okay, and
so leave your number. We want to talk to you.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much for calling.
I just want to kind of put this out here just while we got, remember we had Andrea Cook on the line last week?
Yes.
Well, Channel 13 put out an article, Food Fight Lawsuit Imperils Future of Wednesday Farmers Market, and that's just not true. So what I want to tell you is check out All of a Sudden Facebook page because I'm going to have the tea out there.
All right,
y'all.
I'm bringing a receipt because this particular group, and I'm not going to say any name, made sure that they sent a cease and desist letter to Napier Food Co-op, and they didn't put all of this in the article. So I want to make sure that y'all get the right information.
All right.
Y'all got the tea right here.
Hey, look, if anybody's trying to get in touch with me today, my phone's out of service. I ordered a new one, so I don't have a way to communicate with you. Sorry.
You've been listening to All of a Sudden. Join them every Monday evening from 5:30 to 6:30. All of a Sudden with your host, Brenda Sutton. That's every Monday. We'll see you there.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participant